They got a little talk. The guy who was bad running.
Yeah.
He said y'all getting on some time from the storm and stuff.
Yeah.
So figure out. He said they had asked for 2 weeks and you're basically saying no to 2 weeks.
At least it's a bit much.
Well, I mean, a week is reasonable.
Brad.
Serious days.
We probably made them in the middle. 10, 12 days or something.
They will back. Whatever they want to find out.
He's telling me about the sign that go on the building. Really?
Well, I mean, that won't.
We got like 14 seconds.
Just.
Meeting the order, down to the board commissioner meetings. First thing on the agenda is to approve the agenda and have a motion to do that. Make the motion. Have a motion, will have any discussion? Motion all in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, by like sign, motion carries. Is there anybody who signed up for public comment? Okay, being none. Start with the board's commissioner report. Start with Mary.
I just want to remind everybody, early voting is happening right now, starting on the 17th. I showed up on the 17th and there was a line a mile long. So I went back 2 days ago and it was a much more manageable line. So early voting is available. And I didn't realize you can do same day registration during early voting. So for those that are not registered and would like to vote, now's your window now until November 2nd, with general election day on it. Also, I stopped by and saw our public restrooms recently. If you haven't, hop in there and see, they're incredible. So I'm really excited to see this project finally come to fruition.
Right.
I have nothing to report this morning. Thank you.
Mark.
The only thing I'm gonna report on is, Patsy Dow asked me, or, Patsy, anyway, Mountain Project. I said, handed out a flyer there, Paige has got one also, just tells all the things that Mountain Project does. I didn't realize how big of an operation it really is. That's it.
Cliff.
The only thing I have is I have seen the streetlights on now from the Walmart all the way down to UPS. It's lit up. There's one section next to where Hotspot used to be, it's out, but the majority of it is back up. It looks,
Tell me they're trying to get a new underground wire pulled in for those. I got a short somewhere in the underground.
but they have made progress
Right.
for sure. That's all I have.
The only thing I had was, it was really nice. Monday night, some guys, came up from Louisiana, firemen and policemen and somebody else that came up from, down near New Orleans somewhere. And they came and cooked a big meal for all the town, public works and firemen. And policemen. It's very good. They made like a kind of a Creole dish, big pot of, they call it pastelaia. And that was nice, and see people come and want to support our town, our community. So.
I noticed again today, or yesterday when I went for a walk, the street light on the sidewalk by my house has had a yellow wrapper around it for them to fix it for about 3 years now.
I'll resubmit that one.
Manager's report.
Good morning. The new substantial completion date for the restroom is November the 1st. I've submitted our request for public assistance with FEMA. That's the first step in the process. Then we'll get assigned a program manager that will do a visit, and there's lots more to come with that, but we're hopeful that we can get this repair behind Public Works and Town Hall funded. Our audit site work has been rescheduled for November 4th, 5th, 12th, 13th, and 14th. So administrative staff will be busy with the field work with the auditor during those days. Unfortunately, the skate ramp was not covered by insurance since it was located in an area not covered by the town's flood insurance. Even if it had been covered, the deductible was $50,000. So the board will need to surplus this on the next consent agenda so that Public Works can dispose of it. And we can add that as a discussion item when about how you want to move forward, or we'll just put it on the consent agenda of the next meeting. But we really don't have an option besides surplusing the one down here that can't be salvaged at this point. And that's all I have this morning.
Please report.
Good morning. So in the staffing world, officers Kirkland and McFalls have completed their 12-week FTO program, and they both started solo patrol yesterday. We still got one vacant position and accepting applications. We've received several applications, but most have either not completed the LEP or have just not been a good candidate for Sylva PD. Sergeant Malia Mathis was recently awarded her intermediate law enforcement certificate, which is based on years of experience, training, and education. I completed a 42-hour Police Chiefs Institute through the Justice Academy, where we got training on budgeting, personnel law, public records law, and recruitment and retention. We had another busy month. We had 736 total police actions logged. That included 91 traffic stops, 48 traffic crashes, 76 follow-up investigations, 23 arrests, which resulted in 32 misdemeanor and 28 felony charges. We also recovered one stolen vehicle and one stolen gun. And then work continues on several large cases, including the homicide on Clayton Street and then the break-in, enter, and larceny that happened in Napa a little over a month ago. Our hurricane response, I would say that we were pretty fortunate compared to others. So other than some long 30-hour days for a few PD employees and I think Jake, we didn't see much in the way of damage or response from the police. But we did receive one mutual aid request from Maggie Valley PD. So we sent some help over there, and we had 4 officers that spent about 50 hours total assisting Maggie Valley PD with their flood response. And in community care, Galadriel had 19 new referrals this month. 4 were directly related to the hurricane, 11 for homelessness, 2 for domestic violence, 1 for unstable housing, and 1 for mental health related issues. She also worked rather hard the day of the flooding in town. She transported 10 people to emergency shelter during the hurricane and then assisted with evacuations at the Economy Inn and Tequila Heights. On the event side, we just completed Walk for Hope and currently planning for Treat Street, WCU's homecoming parade, the tree lighting, fireworks, and the Christmas parade. Really, the only other thing to mention is the new vehicles that we've purchased this budget year are set to be delivered next week. We were able this time to get them from Andy Shaw Ford, which has been a difference compared to the last 2 years. Not only were we able to buy them locally, we got them at a significant savings over the original quotes that I got from some of the other dealers we bought from in the past.
I skipped Jake. I'm sorry. Public Works.
That's fine. Come back. I wasn't here for the last meeting, so I want to speak on the storm for just a moment. Also don't normally read straight off my notes, but I'm going to this time so I don't miss anything. I want to take a moment to send the sincerest thanks I can muster out to everybody that was involved in the response. Say that Sylva and Jackson County were lucky is certainly an understatement. I'm haunted by what could have happened here if the speed track slightly different. Jackson County Emergency Management before, during, and after the storm has been exemplary in leadership. Jackson County is extremely lucky for Todd Dillard and his fantastic staff. The CG Water and the Sewer Authority worked around the clock to lift the boil water advisory as soon as possible. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Daniel Mannering, Bobby Morris, and the maintenance crew and their entire distribution and collections team, as well as their administrative staff that worked tirelessly to keep the community updated throughout the event. Our colleagues here at the town of Sylva, the PD, the fire department, were also fantastic. Jackson County Sheriff's Office, Jackson County Public Works, North Carolina DOT, Duke Energy, and all the utility crews from all over the country that I'm sure everybody saw. Storm response has been inspiring to say the least. Countless folks whose names I haven't mentioned or don't even know. I would like to extend the deepest gratitude from the Public Works Department for everybody involved in both response and recovery. I would like to add also, there's a supply and distribution hub set up at 653 Scotts Creek Road. There's collecting supplies for both our own community and neighbors to the east. And I would also like to let everybody know that local folks in need can visit other distribution sites at the community table, United Christian Ministries, St. Mary's Catholic Church, Cornbread and Roses. Moving on to Public Works business, the depot restroom, the concrete flat work has been completed. Handrail fabrication is complete, but it still needs painted. Gutters and downspouts are installed and painting is nearing completion. Fixtures are being installed right now. And we're seeking a certificate of occupancy in time for the Pottery Festival. Crossing our fingers. Contract negotiations with Bartlett Operations are completed. Work on the pavilion should commence next week. This is on Bryson Park. Site furnishings and additional shade structures are on order. It will be installed upon arrival. I would like to remind everybody, if y'all can help us spread the word, Bryson Park is still closed. It's an active job site. It's not safe to be on. I know everybody wants to check out the new stuff as it goes in, but it is closed. So please help us spread awareness of that. Beginning phases for the Scotts Creek wall here behind the building. Pages started that FEMA process and it'll be lengthy, but we're moving in the right direction towards getting that funded as well. We got Treat Street, WCU Homecoming and the Pottery Festival upcoming. I'd like to encourage everybody to attend those if you're available. Any questions?
Jake, quick question over here to new bathrooms. The crosswalk coming across from Back Street back there at Melissa's over there, is that crosswalk going to remain the same place?
Yeah.
Okay, what about the one coming from, because I notice here lately, there's a lot of people when they're in town. They're kind of what they're using right down beside Ward's Plumbing. Is that are we going to repaint a crosswalk crossing from Ward's Plumbing parking lot over to that?
No, the reason they're doing that, Mark, is because we have those stairs closed from the crosswalk over from Mill Street right now to keep people from getting down there on the job site. As soon as we open those back up, people should be able to get down and over to Ward's or down and over to Bridge Park a lot safer.
I was just wondering, because a lot of people, when they leave, you know, like Innovations Brewing and those places, they'll continue just walking right over there, right by Ward's, like they're going over to Bridge Park. I didn't know if there's gonna be an official crosswalk there or not.
Yeah, I try to avoid putting a crosswalk where we don't have a traffic signal, if we can help it. Get people on down to where they have a red light to stop traffic so that they can cross, just a lot safer.
Okay.
Any other questions?
How many days do we give them off from that $200 a day fee?
Due to the storm,
Storm.
we're still negotiating that. They've requested 14, Paige, and I feel like that's a little much.
I was thinking.
I think 7 is reasonable, somewhere between 5 and 7. We're still negotiating. We'll let you know. Finalize that. Thank you.
Fire department's not here.
No, we don't have a fire department report this morning.
Mine's pretty full.
Good morning. Just echoing what everyone has said, we are just so fortunate. The challenge in my area was that, like most towns who kind of avoided that extreme weather, we had to also work with the businesses who are used to having a lot of leaf lickers in this time of year, in order to prepare for the winter where things are a little leaner. So that's how I spent the first 2 weeks, is really getting a lot of our merchants back up and running with processing credit cards, learning how to do it offline, borrowing neighbors' internet connections, that sort of thing, so they can keep doing business. And then the other part was the perception that all of Western North Carolina was closed. Worked very closely with my colleagues, Julie at the Chamber, Tiffany in Economic Development for Jackson County, and most of all, Nick Breedlove at Jackson County TDA, to create some communication strategies so folks, visitors would know that we are open for business. And the Visit NC and the entire TDA network across the state did a great job with color coding things based on roadways being open, cell service, grocery availability, fuel availability, that sort of thing. to have that, check and balance system so people could see what they were getting into if they were coming. And it's really worked out well. So, as well, my, colleague of mine in Rutherfordton, who was in, Rutherford County was hit really hard. And she came up with the idea to create a Western North Carolina, services directory that would show which businesses are open, how they can be supported online, if they're accepting, online sales or gift cards, that sort of thing. And it's called shopwnc.com. It's still in the process of being fully built out, but I believe we have around 500 business listings in there. Julie and I worked together to put all of the Jackson County businesses, as many as we could in there, which is great. And then, by week 3, we're working on catching up. And a lot of that has to do with events, so we're super excited about Treat Street this year. The thing that we're doing a little differently is we've partnered with Heights and Western Carolina University's community engagement group to collect donations for Haywood and Jackson County teens and children who need healthy snacks and several other things. We do have that listed on Facebook and the website that has all the lists of what can be donated. WRGC is also doing a live broadcast, and we have several restaurants doing kid and family friendly meals this year. So so the folks can stay afterward and spend some time downtown. So we're really excited about that. And then we're into the rest of the events and planning for that for the rest of the year. So we've got quite a bit going on. The one thing I wanted to go over is a program that some of you are not familiar with because we started that with the last board. It's called the Creating Outdoor Recreation Economies planning program that we did. And that was we were one of the first North Carolina communities to participate in this program through the state tourism grant. This allowed us to work on some initiatives for creating outdoor economy assets, events and things like that to really focus on that being the key part of Jackson County and Sylva. So we actually joined forces with Jackson County after this process to create a building outdoor communities cohort where things can be implemented and funded. Even the parts of the greenway that we're looking at down in our end of Sylva. So the key initiatives we have are the Pinnacle Park Master Plan, walking and biking connectivity between Sylva and Dillsboro, and Sylva and Cullowhee. Our first outdoor related festival, Cycle NC's Mountain Weekend Ride in August of 2025. Additional offerings and rentals for outdoor stores and more of them. And an outdoor asset mural on the side of Motion Makers in Sylva. So I will be sending all of you a completed copy of the core plan when we receive the final version for the November board meeting with a request to vote on it and accept it. That way it'll give you a little bit of time to review it. And this will enable us to gain support and funding for the plan as we're able to implement many of these initiatives going forward. You guys have any questions?
Donations at Treat Street, where would somebody take them?
Thank you. That's a good question. At the Lazy Hiker parking lot, which is where WRGC will be, and they'll be kind of shouting out to folks that that's where it is, but we'll have several vehicles parked in here collecting those donations.
You mentioned the cycling festival in August. Where is that gonna be kind of stationed at? What's in?
So the main hub will be at Bridge Park. The requirements for partnering with Cycle NC, you have to have public restrooms available, camping areas for tents, indoor camping, RVs. I've already gone through that process and gotten approvals for RVs in Dillsboro and Monteith Park. And we've mapped out several places where people could actually stay. So we're very excited about it.
There'll be some rides too. Like
Yes. So the way that's set up is they go out each day on different routes. So they actually spend Friday through Sunday here, 350 riders who also bring their families with them. So it should be a great economic development initiative for the community. So we'd love for you to ride.
Yeah, absolutely. Sign up.
Last report.
The last meeting was, well, the last two meetings were updates related to the storm and their recovery to lift the boil water. If anybody has any specific questions, Daniel's he said he was happy to address them. The hurricane especially made public works and water on the forefront of everyone's mind. So TWAS is working to capitalize on that and some of their awareness.
Anybody have anything to report on Pinnacle Park?
There were over 20 trees down after the storm on Pinnacle Park. It took us a couple weeks to get it back open, but it is back open now.
Well, that covers the reports. Moving on to new business. The emergency amended event street closure resolution for Creek Street and Western Carolina University is in your packet is the official resolution closing the street.
So this is a different road closure resolution than was previously approved. This would start the detour around at 3 o'clock, and then cars that are parked on Main Street at 3 will still be able to exit until the start of the event. This came out of the safety planning meetings with police, Main Street, and Public Works.
Anytime motion that we approve both those resolutions. Have a motion, do we have any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All opposed, vote aye. Motion carries. Next thing on the agenda is a discussion about the work session and whether to continue it or not.
Let's start with the homecoming parade.
Oh,
Do we have another action item or not?
we did both of them.
We did them in one. Oh, I didn't realize that was.
A discussion on the work session. Paige and I have discussed it. It might work out differently, but it hasn't. So in my mind, I think we've gave it a 6-month try. And if we go back to having 2 board meetings, because it's just keeping us from conducting business when it's a work session. Any thoughts on that?
I think it would be good to be able to vote on things and take action.
Especially with all the projects upcoming.
Yeah. I think it delays things when we can't. Yeah.
So do we need to wait for the next meeting to have a motion and vote on that thing?
Probably, because, yes, I would
Because
say
this is a
so.
work session.
Yeah, I mean.
Kind of makes the point.
We just had to do those 2 resolutions, and even though we don't vote and work sessions, we needed to get those done. I think that's an example of the kind of thing that we're running into. Something will pop up, and I'm finding that if we've just had a meeting, we're waiting almost 5 weeks in some cases, to have another meeting where we can take action. Whereas generally, if you all are able to vote during 2 meetings a month, we're only having to wait a week to take action. So I don't know if you want to restructure to where there are only items to vote on action items and then have separate discussion items, or what would help still accomplish help keep the discussions moving, but then still be able to take action. So we're open to suggestions.
I don't know how it can be formalized, but maybe just focusing on when possible and needed to plan a discussion session on topics that aren't pressing and don't need to be voted on, so that we still make time to discuss things publicly. So that I think it's important for the public to sometimes see our deliberations on some topics.
So it's good that you mentioned that, because it's been brought up that we can make a 2-parted agenda. We can have a work session before we actually start an official board meeting.
I think that would be a good approach, because then you could have things that were clearly marked as discussion only, like we do in the work sessions. And for me, that would allow a different form of preparation for discussion than you would for a vote, particularly a sometimes rushed vote.
And everybody can think about this and we can discuss it more, or we can, at our next meeting, we can vote on making a change, but right now we've basically hamstringed ourselves to keep us from being able to act on things that need to be acted on, like, for example, the street closure for Trick Street. You know, we did it anyway, even though we're really not supposed to be conducting business in a work session. So we have a meeting where it's on the agenda for some period of time for a work session to talk about certain items. And then open the full official meeting where we can conduct business might be a good mix.
And allow for public comments to happen in that first part.
Public comments be allowed in both parts.
Both, yeah.
Would there be separate public comments? Like, there would just be one, but people could see whether an item was up for discussion. The public could see whether an item was up for discussion or a vote and choose their, when to come for public comment, kind of based on that if they want to. I think it's a good approach.
Y'all can discuss up there too. It's just shaped a little different.
Yeah, yeah. But I think for me, when something's labeled as discussion only, I feel like we're gonna have a better opportunity to consider something than I don't know, when it's on there as official business, it just kind of feels like you gotta get to business, right? It's on there as official business. Whereas if we're kind of picking and choosing our topics on which we feel like are worthy of some additional conversation or deliberation, I think that's helpful.
Was the nature of having a work session in the AM versus the PM to be cognizant of our time frame? What was the name?
Before we just had, two official meetings, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and I think the reason the board has done that historically through the years is because that gives people that have to work in the mornings an opportunity once a month to come to an evening meeting, or the reverse of that,
But what was the main drive to switching it to work session and board meeting?
Well, basically, when I suggested it was when we were all at the School of Government training class. And I thought it'd be good that the previous board years ago used to have just a work session where they just talked about things and got the feel for how each board member felt about things and knew if it's something that's really gonna happen or not, or there might be some other things that need to be discussed. So far, we've not done that, and we really just kept ourselves from being able to act on business. So there's nothing wrong with, like Brad's talking about, to have a portion of one meeting a month be a work session and then continue on with normal business, where if we were doing that in this meeting, we would have been doing the Trick Street and Western Carolina Homecoming Parade by the rules.
Those would have been official business.
Yeah.
Everything else would have likely been for discussion as it was.
So y'all think about it. Give Paige any input you may have about it in the next 2 weeks, and she'll put it on the agenda and we'll vote on whatever you want to do. Anything else? Okay. Everybody has the budget calendar into your package. Unless anybody sees any clear conflicts right now. Ask for everybody to review it and look at their calendars and see if you have any conflicts that we can avoid or change dates to, and vote on it at our next meeting.
Anybody see any issues right off the bat?
Everybody good? Okay, so pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11 A and 4, I can find a motion that we go into executive session or closed session to discuss economic development.
Make that motion?
Have a motion, we'll have any discussion. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye. Aye. All opposed by like sign, the motion carries, and We are now in closed session.